Hey guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we're headed out to do some fall fishing. Jump in the boat. Let's go. It is downright cold this morning. So while that Yamaha is warming up back there, let me give you an idea of sort of my game plan. I've never been to this lake before, but here's our conditions. We've got bluebird skies and we're slated for a pretty stout wind. So what I did with that in mind, stout wind, dropping water temperatures in the fall, that screams power fishing to me. So I've got a couple of A-rigs, I've got a speed crank, a jerk bait, a spy bait, and we're gonna go out and we are gonna power fish. I think it'll be a really fun day. We're going to learn as we go. We're looking for that first bite to tell a story, a second bite to build a pattern, and then we just repeat from there. Let's go fishing. Guys, we've been out here about an hour. Oh, nice fish. I've pulled up on 4 spots so far. The first spot I pulled up on was shallow. Nice one. That's a good way to start. The first spot I pulled up on was shallow. It was a long tapering point, and as I fished it, I kept hanging up in rocks. So it was a rocky outcrop, and I got bit on an A-rig, loaded up and came off. The next 2 spots were offshore humps. I'm just looking at my mapping on my Humminbird, playing around on that mapping, looking for offshore high spots. You know, this time of year, fish will pull to that hard structure. So when I got on that rocky point right off, I thought, well, maybe this place has a bunch of rock in it. So I checked some outside stuff. Everything seems to be super rocky, actually. But I did not get bit, and then I just pulled up on this one. I downsized because it had been an hour or so without a bite. That's a little Spark Shad there on a guppy head. And that one ate it, frankly, on the fall. As soon as I reeled up tight, he was already on it. So that's a first bite. That's a clue. Let's keep going. We'll try and build a pattern. That fish was shallow. Oh, he came off. I just lost one way up shallow. Check that out. That's a big old smallmouth on the Tactical micro rig. That's the smallest of the Tactical rigs. Little tiny guy. Check that out. Hang on, I'm gonna spot lock. So here's our situation. It has been almost 2 more hours. This is not an easy day. I'm not crushing them. I've run a dozen more spots. I hooked a good smallmouth about that size on a spy bait. It jumped and came off. I didn't even know I was hooked up at first. I was throwing super shallow. I thought I just hit a rock, and then she jumped and came off. I had 1 other bite, and that was it. But what I noticed is that first fish I caught, it was out deep on rock. It was out in 12, 14 foot, but these other bites have all come in like that 3 to 8. So I thought, you know what? After that spy bait fish, it was on an offshore rock pile, but it was only 2 or 3 feet deep. Really, really shallow. So I thought, that's it. I'm just going to run wind-blown points. This is the first point that we pulled up on. Fired that little micro up there. Donk! Right under the boat. That was awesome. Nice fish. Beautiful. I went back to that Spark Shad. I'll tell you what, I picked this back up because it's gotten really windy. I mean, bad. Gusting probably 25. And I really thought at the start of the day, I really thought that the worse the wind got, the more these fish would set up and I could power fish them, right? I could crank them and A-rig them, and we've forced that along and we have caught some fish. But it's obvious that they want little stuff, right? The A-rig, they ate the micro. I threw the mid-size rig a lot. It's not what they're after. They want the little stuff. The stronger the wind has gotten, the more and more obvious it is. Oh, there's one. That these fish, oh, he came off. Darn it. These fish have backed out and settled to bottom. And that's why I picked up the guppy head, because I could just crawl it along the bottom to try and pick these fish off, and it would appear that it's about to work. Got him. That's the very next cast. This feels like a little smaller fish, smaller head shakes. But I'll take anything that wants to bite. Nice. He's not small by any means. Thank you, friend. Throwing that guppy, that 3-inch Spark Shad. What I'm doing, the wind is so bad. I looked at my map and I saw an offshore hump, an underwater hump. It's maybe 10 feet on top. And I just came upwind of it and spot locked. So my trolling motor, my Ultrex Quest, is holding us in place. And I'm just turning around backwards, blindly throwing in the general direction of that thing. That's the 3rd bite in a row. There's definitely some fish. We've definitely figured out a bait that they're willing to eat, a speed that they're willing to eat at. This is good. There he is. Crazy how dialed in they are to this bait today. Another one on that Spark Shad. Thank you, friend. Got him. Thank you, my friend. Boy, we have got a pattern now, that is for sure. You know, today we're on a lake we've never been on, and I was excited about our conditions this morning, but the wind has just gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. It's turned out to be pretty brutal conditions. It's one thing to fish tough conditions on a lake that you know well. It's a whole different ball game to come into a place that, oh, snagged it out. To come into a place that you know nothing about under tough conditions and then try to figure something out. I came in with some ideas, right? Not preconceived notions, but goals. Things that I thought would work based on the weather, based on what the lake looked like. And I ran that pattern for a long time. But again, I started this day out by saying we would be looking for that first bite, that second bite. The goal was to build a pattern so that we could repeat and catch a bunch of fish. It took a lot of time because some of my goals for the day, the things that I thought would work, just weren't happening. The A-rig being the exception. You know, I got a little bit of play on the A-rig. I caught that really good one. That was, if not our biggest fish of the day, it was our second biggest for sure. A gorgeous fish, right? And it's not like the A-rig is firing, but isn't it funny, for all those fish I can catch on the Spark Shad right now, you get one in the boat on the rig, and it's a great big one. There's something to that. But now we have dialed in a pattern and we're able to run around this lake. I'm stopping on every rocky point, rocky hump, anything like that, and just blind casting that Spark Shad and getting a lot of bites. That's a nice fish. Beautiful smallie. This is on a Spark Shad again, but it's a different color, different head. Oh, nice fish. Different rod. Come here, you. Hello. Look at that one. Beautiful, beautiful fish. My goodness. Wow. So I switched up. This is that new, the pure tungsten Dirty Jigs Guppy, which has a finer wire hook in it. But I put it on this combo. This is my Flissa. You guys know that rod, Megabass P5 Destroyer Flissa. But I just put a brand new Luvius ST on it, that new Daiwa that's insanely light, and I wanted to catch fish on it. It's a new reel, so I wanted to catch fish on it today. We're on a guppy head bite. I was like, man, my rig up a second one, I gotta catch something, and it didn't take long. We've got a pattern now. Feels like a really strong fish. Oh, nice. Not a giant, but he's a good one. Thank you, my friend. Oh, nice fish. Could be our biggest one of the day right there. Beautiful. Gorgeous fish. Man, I love fishing for smallmouth. I mean, I just love fishing. I don't care if we're trout fishing, bluegill fishing, bass fishing, but smallmouth have a special place in my heart. This is just a good time. This morning we were fishing. This afternoon we are catching. This bait was just dragging behind the boat. A walleye grabbed it. That is the Z-Man Fuzzy Bugs. Little walleye. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up here. I actually already had to pull the boat off the water. The wind got so intense, the waves got so bad, you wouldn't have even been able to hear me. So I put it on the trailer, pulled in behind this tree line here, and now it's just calm enough that we can actually talk here for a second. Everything I used today, I'll link in the video description for you guys, from the baits to the rods, reels, all that stuff. But I wanted to take a minute and talk through these baits, because my game plan today was power fishing, right? I wanted to throw a rip bait, a jerk bait, rip bait. If you live in the West, it's a rip bait. If you live in the rest of the country, it's a jerk bait. I wanted to throw a jerk bait. I wanted to speed crank. I wanted to throw the A-rig. And I really went out with that intention. When you go to a new place, you don't have history, right? You don't have anything that says, hey, this weather's shifting, the bass will do this. You just go out and you try it. And I pushed it for a while, and we caught a couple of really good fish, but we did not build a pattern doing that. It was not until we downsized to that guy right there, that 3-inch Spark Shad, that we really started catching them. A Spark Shad on a guppy head this time of year, this is one of those baits that is so special and so overlooked. So the Spark Shad looks like every other swim bait, but it has this very subtle tail kick and a very stable body. It doesn't want to do a bunch of wobbling. In the springtime, I want the opposite. I want kick, I want body roll. But in the fall, as the temperatures are dropping out, there's something about that very stable, very slow approach. You saw it today, right? I mean, the proof is in the pudding. They eat it, and they eat it when they are not in the mood to eat other things. It is just a special bait, and today it absolutely saved the day. I mean, we would have gone home tail between our legs if I had just tried to power fish all the way through. Although we would have left with a couple of really nice smallmouth and a great big pike. I don't know what was wrong with that fish. That thing was nasty, but it was a big one. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about really quick is the rig. A lot of people love throwing A-rigs, but there are a lot of people who understand that they catch piles of fish, but they don't want to throw them because they're cumbersome. And throwing a big full-size A-rig is pretty miserable for most people. So I get it. Tim and I designed this little micro rig a couple of years ago to solve that problem. This rig is so much smaller than a standard rig. And this one's a little misleading because I put bigger baits on it right before I got off the water. I just wanted to see what would happen one more time. They were not into the big stuff. They wanted little stuff. But this rig is so small, so compact. This thing doesn't weigh more than a standard spinnerbait. Throwing this thing is so easy. I fish it with 3 1/8 ounce heads. You can throw this all day long. You can sidearm it, you can lob it, you can bomb it, whatever you want to do. It fishes like a spinnerbait, a crankbait, a chatterbait. You just sling it without even thinking. I mean, to put it in perspective, I'm throwing this on a 7.2 medium light. That's a bait finesse rod. You can throw this on bait finesse. You can throw it on spinning gear. You can throw it on your jig rod. It's really, it gives you the benefit of an A-rig, the drawing power, the ability to pull big fish without the cumbersome heaving all day long. So if you shy away from the rig and you haven't tried a micro rig, you really should give it a try. And how we set this up is very specific. I use very key heads. So these heads, I'll uncover one here. These heads, it's a Z-Man head called a Trout Eye Finesse. It was actually made for inshore fishing. And again, I'll link it all in the description because I use very specific components. But that head in a 1/8, the hook is small enough to fit all of my favorite tiny swim baits, but it's heavy enough wire that when I'm out on Chickamauga and I stick a 6-pounder, I'm not concerned about bend out or anything like that. I can still put a lot of pressure on them. It's great, you know, best of both worlds. But slinging a micro rig, if you're not doing it, is something that you should really consider. With that, guys, we're going to wrap this one up. Again, I'll link everything in the video description for you. I had a ball out here today. Hopefully you enjoyed coming along. Sometimes it's these struggle days where I really have to figure it out. When you guys get to see that side of things, you know, it's not always a slugfest. Today ended up a slugfest. I mean, we caught them good, and we caught some really good ones, but it didn't start that way. And you can learn a lot more when you come along on the days where we've really got to figure it out, as opposed to the days where we just land on them and start catching, because there's not much process to that, right? But today we had to put the pieces together to build a picture and then start catching those fish. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.